Survivor 48 can best be described in two words. It's Jova. It's Jova! Because what happens when you combine the coach-like loyalty, honor, integrity approach to the game with some milk-absorbed muscle jocks who are holding the rest of the cast back with one arm on their forehead? Then you sprinkle in a dash of a predictable boot order and then make them play the mini-game Honeycomb Havoc from the 2000 hit follow-up Nintendo 64 sequel, Mario Party 2. Oh, I'll tell you what happens. Mike Motherfrickin' White wins Survivor 50. Internet, I don't really know what to say that you don't already know I'm gonna say, other, I guess, than maybe that intro. Survivor 48 had its work cut out for it after the past few seasons, and then it ended. The streak is over. It's finally Jova. We had a good run, and what a run we had, right? I mean, I don't know about you, but I've still got my Q skirt on. Maybe Q wins Survivor 50. Godspeed, Q. At best, I'll say this. Overall, Survivor 48 was okay. Yes, it could have been better, I guess, but something tells me that wasn't gonna happen. I think the finale was a safe, sound, and for the most part, really enjoyable ending to a journey that had a fair bit of turbulence. I'm not surprised all of Jova and Kyle received winning votes, because it felt like all three of them could have been a winner. And I do kind of prefer that to say, 47, where we knew the winner in the first 10 minutes of the finale. Oh, look, Rachel just won immunity. That's 3 hours that I know what's gonna happen. I was pleased with Kyle winning. I wanted him to win. I think that his sneaky, stealthy, all-arounder game makes sense for the season that we got. As he said himself, he truly was the best, most average guy we got. And if that doesn't describe what it takes to win Survivor, I don't know what to tell you. Kyle, congrats. You easily deserved it, and I'm glad you got it. I was rooting for you. And just the same, I was bummed for Camilla, but in a way, seeing the jury basically crown her the winner in waiting was kind of good enough. And that's the finale in a nutshell. It was, above all else, it was sufficient. It closed the most important storylines sufficiently, with the, Jova of it all. Wait, were they goats? Were they goats the whole time? Did they ever stand a chance? Only time will tell, but you can't deny they pumped a lot of blood into the beating heart of Survivor 48. But okay, that's just the finale talk. What about the rest of the show? Well, out of the gate, the Green Vula tribe was doomed to disaster. We all saw it coming from a mile away in the preseason no less, and then we all watched it happen for the entire pre-merge. I won't lie, it was riveting to see Say's fate hang by a thread after Mary's shot in the dark landed, only for Justin to just get thrown in the garbage like a week-old pizza because Cedric is allergic to pepperoni and keeping allies that want to work with him. I would be a total hypocrite if I didn't tell you that I enjoyed the destination, even though the literal journey to get there was half-baked and pretty rough going down. The whole draw rocks and get on a boat and just the journey twist is played out and I think needs to go. 8 straight seasons now, and then we get random games of randomness. They're just terrible television. It's terrible moments, removing all player agency. It's just bad form. And you can hear it in my voice, Jeffrey. I'm not even mad. I'm just disappointed with you that the producers have once again gone back to the old well of pure randomness. That dice game isn't even a game. It's Candyland. It just flip over the card and see what color pops up. The moment the deck is shuffled, there's already a winner. We're just waiting to figure out who it is. But on the flip side, I did enjoy the Mary and Say of it all. Say was a pre-juror for the history books, literally, more confessionals than anyone, ever, 48 seasons. The editors loved her. I enjoyed her. And when you have disaster tribes with outspoken players who manage to survive them, I can see why we got what we got. It was kind of like Shannon Ricard from 41, except way more personal. The back and forth cat and mouse of Say and Mary was a relationship I was hoping could go the distance, and then it didn't. Oh. Okay. Say's gone before we reach the halfway point, before we even officially merge. And then Mary just had no story beyond that. That was the main focus for the entire pre-merge. We had 4 tribals with Say, and it kind of felt like none of it mattered. I guess I'm just shocked that Say and Mary didn't give us more after what we got, and it starts to feel like we're poking holes in the format of the show here. We also then got that David heel turn. He went from a big, goofy, hero-like character to a big, goofy villain. Or anti-villain. He was technically right, the best kind of right, about Kyle and Camilla, but the way it all went down made me think that he was wrong, at least with his approach. David also received so much focus in the pre-merge, and I gotta say, his blindside was probably the best elimination of the season. And up to that episode, I was half in and half out on 48, believe it or not. I heard the screeching from social media. I read the Reddit posts with the complaining. I saw the hate train building on the Dominant Alliance on Twitter or X, thousands of likes, but I didn't feel as strong. Was I out of touch? No, it's gotta be the negative Nancy's who just don't know what color grass is. Oh, it's brown, by the way, because it didn't get fed this season. Up to David's boot, I was doing okay. I mostly enjoyed the complex dynamic of this dominant alliance, which is something I usually don't care about or appreciate much or enjoy, but you know, it is what it is. I guess the entire Vula tribe was just short-term pizzazz with no payoff, but the real story of this season was the complicated relationships between the orange and purple tribes. Ah, right, that's the key to enjoying Survivor 48. It's the mix of Kyle, Camilla, and David alongside Shaheen and Joe and Eva. And then Mary randomly shows up. Where did Mary come from? And ladies and gentlemen, we've got ourselves a majority alliance. Don't worry, it happens every season, certainly every New Era season, and it always falls apart as quickly as it forms. Or does it? Any episode now. Yeah, okay, so it was a little annoying to see the self-righteous, we're gonna play this game the right way mentality, with the big dogs preaching about being honest and loyal to one another to the very end. Spare me a moment while I play the world's tiniest violin for the jocks and the pretty people. We used to have seasons built around these dynamics, and they led to incredible storylines. What kind of a dystopia have we found ourselves in here at 48? But I'm being a doomer. If you know me, you know I hate self-righteousness. Which then could technically also mean I'm being self-righteous about the self-righteous. Am I not being open-minded to the closed-minded? Is this what checkmate feels like? Honestly, I don't think this majority alliance was the worst ever. But the whole, we're gonna play Survivor the better way is just, it's dumb. Sometimes effective, but it's still dumb. Joe, good luck pulling this crap on Survivor 50. I hope it works out. And it's why we don't often see it happen after 50 seasons, because it's too simple, it's too basic, it's too boring, and it's best left for the Pragongs of the world. The fools. Strategy? Never heard of her. Joe, I'm not feeling too good, buddy. The Kool-Aid ain't hitting the right spot this time. And I don't really think I need to do much to prove the proof is in the pudding. Like, Kyle finessing the crap out of Jova and the Alliance was my only highlight to this otherwise low-light stretch of a post-merge. And even Kyle was pining over and over, and I just wanted to shake him. Buddy, you're on TV. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. You can turn on Joe. This isn't Borneo. You're a Tagi. Act like one. The repetitive storytelling of Survivor 48 was almost as annoying as the self-righteous mantra of the majority alliance. Maybe worse, because the majority did turn on David pretty quick, and I was able to appreciate some of those moves being made amidst the lack of chaos. Like watching a couple of kids splash each other in the baby pool, there just wasn't much depth here. We had Joe being paranoid in every episode. We had Eva telling us how good she was with all of her advantages and everything was good. And look, she's got the numbers. She's good. Survivor's easy. We had Star being irrelevant. We had Mary being irrelevant after being very relevant. We had Mitch daring to make a move and then make a move and then not making a move. Still waiting for Mitch's big move. And lest we forget, not sure if anyone caught this one, may have just been me and my keen eye for attention to detail, you know, the edgic of it all. But okay, I hope you're sitting down for this one. Kyle and Camilla, they had a secret alliance. I know it doesn't sound believable, but I promise if you rewatch this season, you may notice it. It's only mentioned every episode from the premiere to the finale. It made up most of the tension for the back half of the season, and it did ultimately dramatically influence the end result and boot order each and every episode, R.I.P. Thomas, but still, you might not have noticed that. You're welcome. So this kind of drove me insane. Not to bash like Australian Survivor much because it's kind of the golden child at the moment, but this repetition felt like it was taking a page out of their storytelling. And if you've never seen that show, that's okay. I get why they do it that way, with way more days and episodes and players to account for, let alone 3 episodes per week. It's understandable. They repeat a lot on that show because there's just a lot of airtime to get through. But like the US has way less to work with, and yet we couldn't not hear about all of these same storylines again and again and again. Nothing developed between almost any of them. The most dynamic was Say and Mary, which ended before the halfway point of the season. Everything else just was static and a bit dull, and I can't say it kept me glued to my screen. In fact, I kid you not, for the first time ever in the history of me watching Survivor Live since season 18, well, technically season 1, but I fell off after a few seasons, I fell asleep watching an episode. And heck, I embraced it. I had a good nap. It was the Starboat episode, by the way, and I was jet lagged to be fair, but still. I think it goes to show there is a huge difference between being on Survivor and playing optimally and being bored out of your mind watching people being on Survivor playing optimally. Look, Kyle, Shaheen, I get it. It's boring, but I get it. You played to win. I understand. But I don't think 48 was all bad. As I said, part of that pre-merge was good stuff. The Green Tribe Vula was good in spite of the Mario Party lose your vote nonsense. The Kevin Blindside, the Justin Tribal, the Kyle and Camilla idol play against Thomas was maybe the best episode of the season. And heck, watching Bianca try to navigate the obstacle course that was losing her vote in a divided swap tribe, a 2-2-1, it's pretty fun. I do wish she kind of like had her vote, but then it probably wouldn't have been as fun of an episode. But still, like I enjoyed her game kind of blowing up because Cedric happened. Bianca is nothing personal, just Cedric. Beyond that, though, I don't know. The split tribal was just a massive dud. The beginning of the cracks forming in the season, because from there onward, every suspenseful moment was concluded with this resounding, okay. Like, David going home was exciting, but he was also the least powerful power player and at the bottom, and then nothing noteworthy happened because of it. I mean, yes, like 4.5 hours later, Shaheen goes at the final 6, but that's a lot of impromptu song and dance scenes to get through. Jeffrey, Survivor producers, I know you're not watching this because you got more important things right now to be dealing with, but I talked about this during my Big Brother 25 review, how the editors for that show and that season loved to leave us with a ton of suspense going into the vote at the middle or end of the episode. And then, as it turned out, every vote was unanimous. Not even being hyperbolic, it has the least amount of dissenting votes in BB history. But how we got to that unanimous consensus was really riveting stuff. Ask any Big Brother fan and they'll tell you that the first half of that season was top tier chaos, even though it always landed on a unanimous vote by the end of the week. The editors kind of did the cast and their dynamic dirty, and worst of all, they left a lot of the audience bored and frustrated because so much of the storytelling was about the suspense of who was getting the boots, when it really should have been all about the why. Why did we get here? How did we get here? How is BB25 or Survivor 48 so unanimous every vote? How is the dynamic so not dynamic? Because with Big Brother, we have the live feeds to explain this, but with Survivor 48, we got about like an hour after commercials, and instead of wondering who was going, I kind of already knew. I just felt in the dark as to why no moves were being made against the majority. Was it really all down to blind loyalty? Cowardice? Bad gameplay? Are they just like dumb? Was this cast that two-dimensional? Because they weren't on BB25 despite the vote outcomes making it appear so. Was Joe actually a threat? And if he was, does that mean that Mitch was also a threat? I need someone to confirm that Mitch was a major threat. Mitch might have been robbed and this theory could have legs. Oh my god. Were Joe and Eva goats being herded to the slaughter? Was Eva actually the brains of this duo? Because we kept hearing about how Joe was gonna win the show. Oh geez, this is hurting my brain. I'm getting cognitive dissonance trying to understand what exactly is happening here. Did we get the season that happened on the island or the season that happened in the editing bay? And if it was the latter, which I'm starting to suspect it was, why couldn't we edit in a few more explosions post-production? Like after every time Joe won immunity. Producers, I think that's where you'll find a lot of the frustration for this season stems from the lack of explosions, not from the lack of explosions. In an era of the show largely revolving around gameplay, when the playing of the game isn't that exciting, you're gonna get what you're gonna get. And you're gonna get a lot of it because it's now 90 minutes. Fans have long asked for old school Survivor, and in many ways, Survivor 48 was old school. It had a big alliance picking off the outsiders. It was us versus them. Strong, physical challenge beasts who prided themselves on integrity above all else. The honor of a handshake. There was a vibe that gave off that old school smell this season, and look, I'm not saying it was all bad, just that, maybe put on some deodorant every so often. Maybe do something beyond the exact same format for the season that we've seen for the past 8 seasons. 3 tribes, sweat savvy, journeys, lost votes, beware advantages, mergatory, split tribal right after, rice negotiation, team up reward challenge and duos, advantage at the top of the finale. That really doesn't matter that much. Are we getting the auction for 49? Because, checking my notes here, that is in the cards. Survivor 49 is going to be the same, isn't it? Look, when all else fails, just add some explosions in the background. It's a simple ask. In the end, I'll say this. Thank you to my patrons for all your support, and overall, Survivor 48 was okay. I mean, it's what I said at the beginning of the video. I'm sorry that I wasted your time just to get here. I hope you enjoyed the video, but that is the theme of the review, and I try my best to just stay on topic. This review is just okay, just as Survivor 48 is just okay. It's a season of Survivor, and look, maybe it's your least favorite, or maybe it's your most favorite. Let me know what you thought about this season and where it ranks for you amongst all the seasons you've seen. If it's the only season you've seen, is it number 1? Is it at the top? Or maybe it's at the bottom? How does it compare to the other modern era seasons for you? Recency bias, I don't think that it's the worst season ever. I do think it has some upside with the unique variety of a dynamic with its cast. Well, sort of. It's cut from a different cloth. I can appreciate that. We don't often see iron sharpening iron on this show, although I think we're about to see more of it. But hey, what sometimes we do, and I'm sure 5 years from now we'll get an essay explaining why 48 is dramatically underrated, and we're all fools for missing how much it had to offer. Can I get an oh waka?
Cue the music. Oh waka, see no maka. Nice.
I got you.
Yeah, how's second place look on you?
Whoa, the smack talk is going to another level now.
Yeah, bro.
Until then, don't forget to plug in your controller and not pick Yoshi on your way out, and I will see you in the next one. Once I get my hands on that Switch 2. Who's ready to play some Honeycomb Havoc?
Stop!